Sheriff Powell and Agent Bennett stared at Talia, their faces showing a mix of fear and wonder. "You're asking us to trust a dragon," Bennett said slowly. "Yes," Peter replied. "Our worlds were never meant to be fully separated. Now that separation is breaking down." Another violent shake rocked the forest. Trees fell nearby. The sky above the gateway turned an angry purple, shot through with lightning. "We don't have time to debate this," Talia said. "Dragon magic and human science together might be able to stabilize the gateway." Bennett hesitated, then nodded. "What do you need me to do?" "Your devices that detect energy," Talia said. "Can they be used to measure the gateway's energy patterns?" "Yes," Bennett replied, pulling equipment from his pack. "But I don't know how to interpret readings from magic." "I can help with that," said a new voice. Devon the archivist had appeared in the gateway. "I studied the old texts about world separation." Sheriff Powell looked at Peter. "This is crazy, but I believe you. How can I help?" "Keep everyone else away from this area," Peter told her. "It's not safe." Powell nodded and headed back toward the search party. Bennett began setting up his equipment around the gateway while Devon examined the readings. "The gateway is expanding," Devon explained. "When Nyx tried to seal it, he disrupted the ancient magic that kept our worlds in balance." Peter looked at Talia. "What about the farming tests we were doing? The healthy crops?" Talia's eyes widened. "The prophecy. When the worlds begin to heal together, the gateway between shall grow stronger. Our experiments were already beginning to reconnect the worlds naturally," Peter realized. "Forcing the gateway closed worked against that process. We need to stabilize it, not close it," Devon agreed. "But that will take more power than we have." Just then, Elder Meridia appeared in the gateway. Behind her were the other council members, including a reluctant Nyx. "We felt the disturbance," Meridia said. "The ancient magic is unraveling." Bennett looked up from his equipment. "The energy patterns are forming a feedback loop. It's growing stronger and more chaotic." Peter thought quickly. "What if we don't fight it? What if we guide it instead?" "What do you mean?" Talia asked. "In farming, sometimes you have to work with nature, not against it," Peter explained. "If the worlds want to reconnect, maybe we should help them do it in a controlled way." Devon nodded excitedly. "Yes, the old texts mention a ritual of harmony, not separation." Bennett adjusted his equipment. "I can use these to create a stable energy field around the gateway. It might help contain the process." Elder Meridia looked at the other council members. "We must combine our magic in the ritual of harmony. Are we agreed?" They nodded, even Nyx. "I was wrong to fear change," he admitted. "Our survival depends on adaptation." What followed was unlike anything Peter had ever seen. The dragons formed a circle around the gateway. Bennett set up his devices at key points. Devon read words from an ancient scroll. As the dragons channeled their magic, Bennett's equipment pulsed with light, creating a stable energy field. The violent shaking slowly calmed. The angry sky cleared. The gateway stopped expanding but remained open, now a permanent bridge between worlds. "It's working," Talia said with wonder. "The worlds are finding balance." When Sheriff Powell returned, she brought Sam and others with her. They stared in amazement at the dragons and the gateway. "People are going to have a lot of questions," Hull said. Peter nodded. "And we'll answer them together." In the weeks that followed, a careful peace was established. Peter's farm became a meeting place between worlds. Some dragons came to learn human farming techniques. Some trusted humans were allowed to visit the dragon realm. Talia split her time between worlds, often in her smaller form when in the human world, but sometimes in her full glory when privacy allowed. She and Peter worked together, teaching dragon and human children about both worlds. "Did you ever imagine any of this when you first came to steal scraps from my compost pile?" Peter asked her one evening as they watched the sunset from his porch. Talia made the sound that Peter now recognized as dragon laughter. I only wanted food. I found a friend instead. And 2 worlds found healing, Peter added, watching as a group of young dragons flew overhead, no longer hiding in the shadows. The Dragoness who only wanted scraps had changed everything. And the human farmer who followed her had helped build a bridge between worlds that would stand for generations to come. Talia led Peter back to the gateway between worlds. The journey was quiet, both lost in their own thoughts. I'll come back as soon as I can, Peter promised as they reached the shimmering opening. Be careful, Talia said. If these government people are looking for us, they may watch you closely. Peter nodded and stepped through the gateway. The cave felt cold and dark after his time in the Dragon Realm. He made his way out through the narrow gap in the rocks and began walking back toward his farm. He had only gone half a mile when he heard voices calling his name. Soon, he saw flashlights moving between the trees. Peter, is that you? It was Sam's voice. I'm here, Peter called back, waving his arms. Sam ran toward him, followed by Sheriff Powell and others from the search party. Where have you been? We've been looking everywhere for you. Peter had prepared his story. I was tracking an unusual animal, got lost and turned around. Found a cave to shelter in until I could figure out which way was home. Sheriff Powell looked skeptical. For a whole week, without food or water. I had some supplies in my backpack, Peter said, and there was a stream in the cave. Agent Bennett pushed through the group. Mr. Callahan, I'm Agent Kyle Bennett. What kind of animal were you tracking exactly? Peter tried to look confused. Some kind of large bird, I think. I only saw it from a distance. Bennett studied Peter's face. Interesting. We found unusual energy readings in this area. And this. He held up the dragon scale. Peter's heart raced, but he kept his expression neutral. Never seen anything like that before. What is it? We're still determining that, Bennett said. Would you mind showing us exactly where you were staying? Before Peter could answer, there was a sudden rumble. The ground shook beneath their feet. Earthquake, someone shouted. But Peter knew better. He felt a strange pulling sensation, like the air itself was being stretched. We need to get out of here, he said urgently. The rumbling grew louder. Trees swayed dangerously. Everyone back to the vehicles, Sheriff Powell ordered. As they retreated, Peter looked back toward the rock formation. A bright light was visible between the trees, coming from the direction of the gateway. What's happening? Sam asked, grabbing Peter's arm. I don't know, Peter lied, but he suspected the truth. Nix and others must be trying to seal the gateway. Agent Bennett wasn't following the others. Instead, he was moving toward the light, his face filled with wonder. Sir, we need to evacuate, one of his team called. You go ahead, Bennett replied, not taking his eyes off the light. I need to investigate this. Peter made a quick decision. He broke away from Sam and ran after Bennett. You don't understand what you're walking into. Bennett turned, surprised. So you do know something. Another violent shake knocked them both off their feet. A crack opened in the ground between them and the others. Peter, Sam shouted from across the widening gap. Go back. I'll be okay, Peter called. The light grew brighter. Peter could feel the gateway changing, becoming unstable. He grabbed Bennett's arm. We need to reach the rock formation. It's our only chance. To his surprise, Bennett nodded. Lead the way. They ran through the forest as the ground continued to shake. When they reached the rocks, Peter saw that the narrow gap had widened into a large opening. The shimmering portal inside was now a swirling vortex of energy. What is that? Bennett asked, his professional calm finally breaking. A gateway to another world, Peter said honestly, and it's becoming unstable. Sheriff Powell had followed them, making her way around the crack in the earth. She stared at the portal in disbelief. What in heaven's name? Before Peter could explain, the portal flashed blindingly bright. When the light faded, Talia stood there in her full dragon form, wings spread wide. Bennett and Powell froze in shock. "Peter, you must come back now," Talia said urgently. "Nix tried to seal the gateway, but something went wrong. The magic is out of control. Both our worlds are in danger." A dragon," Sheriff Powell whispered. "Yes," Peter said. "And she's my friend." He turned to Bennett and Powell. "I know this is hard to believe, but there's another world connected to ours. They're not a threat, but right now, both our worlds are in danger. Will you help us?" Days passed in the dragon world. Peter worked with Talia and Devon to try new farming methods. They mixed dragon magic with human farming knowledge. In some fields, they stopped using magic completely and instead added compost to the soil. In others, they planted different crops side by side, the way Peter did on his farm. "The plants in the test fields are already looking stronger," Talia said one morning as they walked through the farmlands. Peter nodded. "The soil needs time to heal, but these are good signs." Not all dragons were happy about these changes. Council member Nix watched them with narrow eyes as they worked. "Humans destroy their own lands with their farming," Nix said to anyone who would listen. "Now they want to change our ways too." But Elder Meridia supported Peter's efforts. "We must be willing to try new paths when old ones fail us," she told the council. In the human world, a full week had passed since Peter disappeared. Sam had called the sheriff, and now a search party looked through the woods near Peter's farm. "His truck is still here, his wallet too," Sheriff Diane Powell said to Sam. "It's like he just walked away." Linda found Peter's notebook. "Look at these drawings," she said, showing the sheriff. "They look like dragons," and he wrote notes about food going missing and following some creature into the forest. Sheriff Powell frowned. Which direction was he headed? Sam pointed toward the northern woods. "That way. But I've been through those woods 100 times. There's nothing unusual there." What Sam didn't know was that a man from the government had joined the search. Agent Kyle Bennett had been called in when strange energy readings were detected in the area. He stood back, watching the locals, saying little. When everyone else went to check another area, Agent Bennett stayed behind. He looked carefully at Peter's house and found something interesting, a small shimmering scale that Peter had dropped before following Talia the final time. Bennett picked it up carefully. "This is definitely not from any known animal," he said quietly into his phone. "Send the science team. We may have found something important." Back in the Dragon Realm, Peter and Talia were meeting with the Dragon Council again. Some of their farming experiments were showing promise. "The new methods are working in the test fields," Talia reported. "The plants are growing stronger without needing as much magic." "This is good news," Elder Meridia said. "Perhaps there is wisdom in the human ways after all." Nix growled softly. "But now more humans are searching their woods. They're getting closer to the gateway. This human's absence has drawn attention to us." Peter looked surprised. "How do you know this?" "We have watchers on our side of the gateway," Gareth explained. "They report increased human activity near the entrance to our world." "My neighbors must be looking for me," Peter said. "I've been gone longer than I planned." "It's more than just neighbors," Nix said. "There are humans with machines that detect magic. They're searching for the gateway." The council members looked at each other with worry. "We should seal the gateway permanently," Nix suggested. "It's too dangerous to leave it open." "No," Peter objected. "If you do that, I can never go home. And what about our theory that the worlds need to be connected?" Talia nodded. "There's the prophecy too. What if sealing the gateway completely makes things worse for both worlds?" Elder Meridia considered this. "Nix, what would it take to seal the gateway?" "A joining of all council members' magic," Nix replied. "We haven't done it in generations, but the knowledge is preserved in the old texts. Before we take such a step, we must be certain," Meridia decided. "Peter, you should return to your world temporarily. Calm the search for you. Then return to us with news of what these government humans know." Talia looked worried. "Is it safe for him to go back?" Safer than leaving humans to find the gateway on their own, Gareth said. At least this way, we control when and how contact happens. Peter agreed to the plan. I'll go back and tell them I got lost hiking. Then I'll find out what I can about these government people. Be careful, Talia said, and come back to us. I will, Peter promised. We've only just begun to solve this puzzle. After the council meeting, Talia led Peter through more tunnels. They emerged into sunlight, but the light had the same purple tint as before. Peter looked up at a sky unlike his own. 2 small moons were visible even in daylight. So I'm really in another world, Peter said. Yes, Talia replied. Our worlds are connected but separate. Few know the pathways between them. They walked along a path that wound down a hillside. Below, Peter could see fields stretching out to the horizon. Dragons worked the land, some flying overhead, others walking along the ground. These are our farmlands, Talia explained. For many generations, they'd produced all the food we needed. But in recent years, the soil has weakened. Plants grow smaller and less healthy. Some don't grow at all. Peter knelt down and picked up a handful of soil. He let it run through his fingers, feeling its texture. It feels dry and lacking in nutrients. How do you care for your soil? We use magic to help it grow, Talia said. Watch. A nearby dragon was standing over a plot of land. The dragon took a deep breath, and then exhaled a gentle stream of energy that seemed to sink into the ground. Plants responded by growing slightly taller. That's amazing, Peter said, but it looks like hard work. It is, Talia agreed, and each year it takes more magic to produce less food. That's why I was looking for new ideas from your world. They continued walking until they reached a large building made of stone. Inside, shelves lined the walls, filled with scrolls and strange objects. This is our archive, Talia said. This is Devon, our archivist. A smaller dragon with copper-colored scales looked up from a desk. He wore what looked like glasses perched on his snout. So this is the human, Devon said, studying Peter with interest. I've read about your kind, but never thought I'd meet one. Peter is going to help us with our farming problems, Talia explained. Devon nodded. Good. We need fresh ideas. Our old ways are failing us. Peter spent the rest of the day learning about dragon farming methods. They had many books and scrolls showing how they used their magic to help plants grow. But as Talia had said, these methods weren't working well anymore. In my world, Peter explained, we use crop rotation. We don't plant the same crop in the same field year after year. We also use compost and natural fertilizers to put nutrients back into the soil. Devon took notes eagerly. Simple, but it makes sense. We've always relied on magic rather than these natural methods. Meanwhile, back in the human world, Peter's neighbor Sam was growing worried. Peter hadn't been seen for 3 days. Sam went to Peter's farm and found it empty, with the animals unfed. This isn't like him, Sam said to himself. He called Linda Walsh, who had once dated Peter and remained his friend. He was acting strange lately, Sam told her, talking about following some creature into the woods. Linda frowned. That doesn't sound like Peter. He's always been so practical. I'm going to call the sheriff if he doesn't show up by tomorrow, Sam decided. Back in the Dragon Realm, Peter didn't know time was passing differently. He was too busy learning and teaching. Devon showed him books about dragon history, including how the 2 worlds had become separated. Long ago, dragons and humans lived in the same world, Devon explained. But humans feared our power and hunted us. So our ancestors created this separate realm and sealed most of the pathways between worlds. But not all of them, Peter said. No, Devon admitted. A few remain, though they're kept secret. Talia found one by accident when she was young. She's been fascinated by your world ever since. Peter thought about this. If your farming magic is failing, maybe the problem is deeper than just tired soil. Maybe the separation between our worlds is causing it. Devon looked startled. What do you mean? In my world, Everything is connected, Peter explained. Plants, animals, weather, soil, it's all one big system. Maybe by separating your world, you broke some natural connections that were important. Talia, who had been listening, looked thoughtful. There's an old prophecy that mentions reconnection of the separated worlds. Most dragons think it's just a story, but what if it's not? Peter finished. What if both our worlds need each other to be whole? Peter walked through the cave entrance with Talia beside him and Lorcan following close behind. The tunnel they entered was huge, big enough for several dragons to fly through side by side. The walls glowed with soft blue light from crystals growing out of the rock. These crystals are beautiful, Peter said, trying to stay calm. They respond to our magic, Talia explained quietly. They have been growing here for thousands of years. The tunnel opened into an enormous cavern. Peter had to stop and stare in wonder. The ceiling rose so high he could barely see it. More crystals, some as big as cars, grew from the walls and ceiling. In the center of the cavern was a raised stone platform. 5 large dragons sat on the platform. Each was a different color: gold, deep blue, silver, green, and purple. They all turned to look as Peter entered with his escorts. Elder Meridia, Lorcan called out, bowing his head to the gold dragon. I bring grave news. Talia has broken our most sacred law. She has brought a human into our realm. Murmurs and growls spread through the cavern. For the first time, Peter noticed there were many other dragons watching from ledges and openings in the walls. The gold dragon, Elder Meridia, was clearly the oldest. Her scales had a dull patina in places, but her eyes were bright and sharp. Step forward, human, she said, her voice deep and powerful. Peter walked to the center of the cavern, feeling very small. I am Peter Callahan, he said, trying to keep his voice steady. I'm a farmer from Montana. And how did you come to be in our realm, Peter Callahan? Asked the blue dragon next to Meridia. Before Peter could answer, Talia stepped forward. It is my doing, council member Nix. I visited his farm many times. He showed me kindness when I was injured. I wanted to learn more about humans. The silver dragon snorted. Our ancestors separated from humans for good reason. They hunted us. They feared us. They would destroy us if they knew we existed. That was centuries ago, Gareth, Talia argued. Humans have changed. Peter helped me when he could have harmed me. One human's actions do not speak for all, said the green dragon. Elder Meridia raised a claw for silence. Let us hear from the human himself. She fixed her golden eyes on Peter. What were your intentions in following Talia to our realm? Peter took a deep breath. I was curious. I had never seen anything like her before. She seemed intelligent, and she trusted me enough to show me this place. I meant no harm. And now that you are here, Meridia asked, what do you intend to do with this knowledge? I don't know, Peter admitted honestly. This is all so new to me. But I wouldn't want to do anything that would hurt Talia or any of you. The purple dragon leaned forward. We have 3 options, as I see it. We can erase his memory and return him to his world. We can keep him here while we decide if humans have truly changed. Or we can eliminate the risk entirely. The dragon didn't need to explain what the third option meant. I have spent time in the human world, Talia said quickly. Their kind has advanced in many ways. But they still face problems, just as we do. Peter is a farmer. He grows food. And we have been struggling with our own food supply. This caught the council's attention. The dragons looked at each other. Is this why you went to his world? Elder Meridia asked. Because of our failing crops. Talia lowered her head. Yes, Elder. I thought perhaps humans might have solutions we have not considered. Our old ways are no longer working as they once did. And do you grow food, human? Asked Gareth. Peter nodded. Yes, that's my life's work. My family has farmed the same land for generations. Elder Meridia was quiet for a long moment. Then she spoke. Perhaps there is purpose in this meeting after all. Peter Callanan, would you be willing to share your human farming knowledge with us? I would, Peter said without hesitation, if it would help. Then you may stay, Meridia declared. For now, Talia will be responsible for you, and you will help us understand why our lands grow less fertile with each passing season. The other dragons looked surprised, but none challenged Meridia's decision. Thank you, Peter said, feeling both relieved and overwhelmed. Do not thank me yet, human, Meridia replied. Your true test has only just begun. Peter's mouth fell open. Where the small cat-sized dragon had been, there now stood a creature as tall as a horse. Its wings spread wide, at least 15 feet from tip to tip. Beautiful blue-green scales covered its body, shimmering in the purple twilight. The same intelligent eyes looked at him, but now they were level with his own. You're much bigger here, Peter managed to say. The dragon made a sound that was almost like laughter. Then, to Peter's complete shock, it spoke. My name is Talia, the dragon said in a voice that was musical and feminine. And yes, I am my true size here. In your world, I must make myself small to avoid notice. Peter took a step back. You can talk. Of course I can talk, Talia said. Did you think I was just an animal? I thought you were impossible, Peter said. Dragons don't exist. Talia tilted her head. Yet here I stand. And here you stand, in a place humans have not walked for centuries. Peter looked around at the strange meadow. The plants glowed faintly with their own light. The sky above had no sun, yet there was a soft purple light everywhere. Where are we? He asked. This is my home, Talia said. What your people might call another realm. We live alongside your world but separate from it. Peter walked in a small circle, trying to take everything in. Why did you come to my farm? Why take my food? Talia lowered her head slightly. I was curious about humans. Our elders tell us to avoid your kind at all costs, but I wanted to see for myself. She paused. And our food has been scarce lately. Your scraps were a welcome addition to my meals. So you were studying me while I thought I was studying you, Peter said with a small smile. Yes, and you surprised me. Most humans in our stories would have tried to capture or kill me, but you offered food and help instead. Peter thought about this. So why show me this place now? Talia was about to answer when a loud roar filled the air. Peter spun around to see another dragon approaching, this one larger than Talia with dark red scales. It landed hard on the ground, making the earth shake. What have you done, Talia? The red dragon demanded. You have brought a human here. This is forbidden. Lorcan, please, Talia said, stepping between Peter and the newcomer. He is different. He helped me when I was injured. The red dragon, Lorcan, bared his teeth. It doesn't matter. The law is clear. No humans in our realm. We separated from them for good reasons. Peter stayed very still. He could feel the heat coming off Lorcan's body. If you would just listen, Talia began. No, the council will decide what to do with him. And with you, for breaking our most important rule. Lorcan turned his fierce gaze to Peter. Human, you will come with me. Any attempt to flee or resist will end badly for you. Peter looked at Talia, who nodded slightly. It's okay, she said quietly. I will speak for you. I'll go peacefully, Peter told Lorcan. I didn't know I was trespassing. Lorcan snorted, sending a small puff of smoke into the air. Ignorance is no excuse. Follow me, both of you. They walked together through this strange landscape. Peter saw plants and rock formations unlike anything in his world. In the distance, mountains rose with peaks that seemed to touch the starless purple sky. What will they do to me? Peter whispered to Talia as they walked. I don't know, she admitted. No human has been brought before the council in living memory. But I will fight for you. You showed me kindness when you had no reason to. Lorcan led them to a large cave entrance built into a hillside. Carved into the stone above were symbols Peter couldn't read. The Dragon Council awaits, Lorcan said grimly. enter, human, and face judgment. Peter followed the small dragon into the forest. He had to move quickly to keep up, as the creature darted between trees and undergrowth. The shimmering scale in his pocket felt warm against his leg. The autumn sun was setting, casting long shadows through the trees. "Where are you going?" Peter called softly, not expecting an answer. The dragon looked back, seeming to check if he was still following. Then it continued deeper into the woods. Peter had grown up next to this forest. He thought he knew every path, every clearing, and every stream. But as he followed the dragon, he realized they were in a part of the forest he had never seen before. The trees here were older, with thick trunks and branches that blocked out most of the sky. After walking for nearly an hour, Peter stopped to catch his breath. "I should head back," he said to himself. "It'll be dark soon." Just as he was about to turn around, the dragon reappeared. It chirped at him and flew a short distance ahead, then waited. "You want me to keep following you?" Peter asked. The dragon chirped again. Curiosity won out over caution. Peter continued to follow. Soon, they came to a rock formation. Huge boulders were piled together, covered in moss and ferns. The dragon flew straight toward the rocks and disappeared into a narrow gap between two of the largest boulders. Peter approached slowly. The gap was barely wide enough for him to fit through. He peered inside but could see only darkness. "Hello," he called. His voice echoed strangely. The next morning, Peter visited his neighbor, Sam Miller. Sam had lived in the area even longer than Peter's family. "Have you ever seen a rock formation deep in the North Woods?" Peter asked as they drank coffee on Sam's porch. Sam scratched his gray beard. "Can't say I have. That area gets pretty wild." "Why?" Peter wasn't sure how much to tell. "I was tracking an unusual animal yesterday. Led me to a place I've never been before." "What kind of animal?" Sam asked. "You're going to think I'm crazy," Peter said. "It looked like a small dragon." Instead of laughing, Sam set down his coffee cup slowly. "My grandfather used to talk about strange creatures in these woods. Everyone thought he was making up stories." That evening, Peter packed a backpack with food, water, a flashlight, and a first aid kit. He waited by the compost pile. The dragon appeared as usual, but this time it seemed excited to see him. "Ready to show me where you live?" Peter asked. The dragon picked up the food Peter had left out and flew toward the forest edge. Peter followed, more prepared this time for the long walk. When they reached the rock formation again, Peter hesitated at the narrow opening. The dragon flew through, then poked its head back out, chirping at him. Peter turned on his flashlight and squeezed through the gap between the rocks. Inside was a small cave. The dragon waited at the far end, near what looked like another opening. As Peter moved deeper into the cave, the air felt different, warmer and somehow charged with energy. There was a faint smell of spices and something like ozone after a lightning storm. The second opening had a strange shimmer around its edges, like heat rising from hot pavement in summer. The dragon flew through this opening and vanished. Peter shined his flashlight into the opening, but the light didn't penetrate the shimmer. He reached out his hand and felt a slight tingling sensation, as if gentle electricity was running across his skin. "This isn't possible," he whispered. He thought about turning back. This was beyond strange. It was unnatural. But the dragon had trusted him, had even led him here on purpose. And the scale in his pocket still felt warm, almost pulsing now. Peter took a deep breath and stepped through the shimmering opening. The world around him changed instantly. He was no longer in a cave. Instead, he stood at the edge of a meadow bathed in purple twilight. Strange plants swayed in a gentle breeze. The air felt thick and full of life. And there, in the center of the meadow, was his little dragon. Except it wasn't little anymore. Peter Callahan walked through his farm as the sun went down. The autumn air was cool, and the leaves on the trees had turned red and gold. He sighed as he opened the door to his storehouse. Food was missing again. At first, he thought it might be mice or rats, but the way things disappeared was strange. Only certain foods vanished, mostly bread, cheese, and dried fruit. A rat would not be so picky. "This is getting ridiculous," Peter muttered. He ran his hand through his short brown hair. His farm sat at the edge of a forest in Montana. He had lived here all his life, taking over after his father passed away 5 years ago. Peter went back to his house and grabbed a small camera. He set it up in the storehouse, hiding it behind some jars. If something was taking his food, he would catch it on video. 3 days later, Peter checked the camera. There was something on the recording, but it made no sense. The video showed a small creature, about the size of a house cat, but it looked like a dragon. It had scales that shimmered blue-green even in the dim light, small wings, and a long tail. The creature moved with purpose, carefully selecting food items and placing them in a small pile before carrying them away. "That's impossible," Peter said to himself. But the video didn't lie. That evening, instead of staying in his house, Peter hid behind a compost pile where he tossed food scraps. He waited as the sky turned dark and the stars came out. Just as he was about to give up, he saw movement. The creature from the video appeared from the edge of the forest. It moved carefully, stopping often to look around. In the moonlight, Peter could see its scales shimmer. The little dragon dug through the compost, finding apple cores and stale bread. Peter watched, amazed. The creature was beautiful, with intelligent eyes that scanned its surroundings. Instead of trying to catch it, Peter had an idea. The next day, he placed a small plate near the compost pile. On it, he put fresh bread, cheese, and some leftover chicken. Then he waited again. The creature appeared, more cautious than before. It sniffed the air and slowly approached the plate. It looked at the food for a long time before taking a small piece of chicken. After eating it, the dragon seemed to relax. It ate more, and Peter smiled as he watched from his hiding spot. This became a pattern. Every evening, Peter left food out, and the dragon came to eat. After 2 weeks, the creature would arrive while it was still light out. After a month, it would sometimes stay even when Peter moved around nearby. "You're not so scared of me anymore, are you?" Peter said softly one day as the dragon ate from the plate just 15 feet away from where he sat. The creature looked up at him. Its eyes were bright and alert. It tilted its head as if considering his words. Then, to Peter's surprise, it gave what looked like a small nod before returning to its meal. Winter was coming, and Peter worried about the little dragon. Would it be warm enough in the forest? Did it have a home? One evening in late October, he noticed the creature had a small cut on its wing. When it tried to fly away with its food, it struggled and landed awkwardly. "Hey there," Peter said gently, approaching slowly. "You're hurt. Let me help you." The dragon backed away at first, but didn't flee. Peter went inside and returned with a first aid kit. Moving very slowly, he managed to clean the cut and wrap the wing with a light bandage. The creature stayed still, watching him with those intelligent eyes. "You'll be good as new soon," Peter said. The next day, the dragon returned. Its wing looked better. After eating, it didn't leave right away. Instead, it approached Peter and dropped something at his feet. It was a small, shimmering scale. Peter picked it up carefully. "Is this a gift?" he asked. The dragon made a soft chirping sound. Then it turned and headed toward the forest. Without thinking, Peter decided to follow it.